officiating crew, Carl Hess, a veteran of 5 Final Fours, Gary Maxwell and Lamar Simpson.
Marv, this is a totally different challenge for a Michigan team that had a tremendous weekend last week, beating South Dakota State and VCU. Those were small teams. Michigan is a small team. They play basically 4 wings or 4 guards and McGarry. Kansas, big and strong. I'm really interested to see if McGarry can have the same or a similar level of production against this bigger, better defensive Kansas team.
Jayhawks in the white uniform control. Elijah Johnson, who had not played well last weekend, 1 for 6 and 1 for 6 in the first 2 games of the tournament.
Johnson, in many ways, is the X factor for Kansas. He's a senior. He's a talented player, but he's been up and down. He has a tendency to turn the ball over and be a little erratic with his shooting, so good start there.
Burke firing a 3, McGarry on the inside, puts it home.
And the key for McGarry there, Whitney had to go outside to challenge Burke on the jump shot. That gave McGarry the rebounding lane inside.
McGarry at 10 for 11 from the field against VCU, 21 points in their last outing. It's only his 5th start. Nice fake by Reliker. And foul. Now they say they count it. It's a goaltend. McGarry knocked it out.
Looked like McGarry might have just poked his hand underneath the rim, but you see this. You're going to see this all night. Withy will be involved in pick and rolls with Burke. Burke is an excellent shooter, so you put Withy in that pick and roll situation, bring him to the perimeter, and get him away from that basket.
Michigan 28-7, 12-6 in the Big Ten. Made it as an at-large team. Able to curl in. Hardaway way off. Reliker with the rebound. Kansas on the move. Reliker ran into his own man, Kevin Young. Elijah Johnson on the save, able to split through. And McGarry pulls it down. Here comes Burke.
You hear the Kansas faithful behind us. Ben McLemore has been under the microscope this week. He really fell off the map in the first 2 games. Couldn't buy a jump shot. Maybe the way to get himself going is by defending. Just a terrific block there.
Yeah, it looks like McGarry shaken up. Mitch McGarry, 6'10", 250-pound freshman, who has taken over as the starter. Jordan Morgan was the starter for Michigan for most of the season.
He gives Michigan a totally different look, Marv McGarry does, because Morgan is primarily a defender and a rebounder. McGarry very capable offensively, as he showed last weekend. And his ability to knock down that foul line jump shot, get to the rim for putback dunks, has given their offense a brand new dynamic, and didn't really get a good look. The officials are taking a look at this. This is automatic when a player goes down. They're looking at whether he got hit maybe with an elbow, but sure didn't look like much.
It's a collision between Elijah Johnson and Mitch McGarry. Getting back to Ben McLemore, he says his shot is flat. He has not been able to go with his normal release. He says he has to start playing where he feels free again. But I wonder if the difficult shooting conditions in this type of environment can hurt even more. You've played in dome stadiums.
Yeah, domes are no fun for shooters. So the backdrop is dramatically different from your average arena. And when you're playing in the biggest dome in the world, it's even worse. But here was the play a minute ago. Ooh, now we see why he went down. A little shot from Johnson. And the question is, was that intentional or not? That's what the officials are sorting through. Now, if they deem that intentional, the technical term would be a flagrant foul, which would be 2 free throws. Michigan already has the ball, but you get a look here at Johnson. Yeah, that sure looks intentional to me.
And this was away from the play. Hardaway was about to inbound.
And again, the officials checking the monitor, but if you look at, I mean, we've seen it twice. It sure looks like that was purposeful with intent. And I would be shocked if the officials didn't deem this a flagrant 1 foul. And you see the rule here, excessive contact. It doesn't have to be above the shoulders, but there are various interpretations of the rule, but this would qualify for excessive contact. Anytime, Marv, you hit a guy in the groin, I would deem that excessive.
Excessive, yes.
I'm just going to throw that out
right
there.
with you there. So the officiating crew, Carl Hess, Gary Maxwell, and Lamar Simpson, go to work a minute and 45 seconds in.
We've seen so much of this, Marv. How about yesterday, the end of the Ohio State-Arizona game? You know, there's so many reasons to go and check the monitor in the college game. And Arizona without a timeout yesterday, down 3. Ross hits the 3 with 2 seconds left. And the officials look at the monitor to check the clock, and that basically gave Arizona a timeout that they didn't have. So a lot of stoppages in play for all these different rules interpretations based on the monitor.
The officiating crew discussing it with the head coaches, Bill Self and John Beeline.
I don't know why they can't just look at it, figure it out, call it, and let's play. What's the holdup? And we're going to get an explanation here.
Carl Hess over to. Okay, F1 in officiating terms, flagrant 1. I picked that right up, Steve. Foul. And it means 2 free throws and the ball. And as you mentioned, they have the possession.
Yeah.
So Elijah Johnson making contact excessively.
And you know, it's a personal foul, of course, too. So, and Johnson is a critical player in this game. And you wonder why, you know, sometimes in the heat of the game you get upset. Maybe you're retaliating. This is like a minute into the game. I don't understand.
Seemed completely out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Mitch McGarry shooting only 46% at the line. He's 20 of 42. Averages just under 7 a game, 6 rebounds. Started only 2 games before they started the tournament.
And the free throw woes continue for McGarry, whose stroke is actually pretty good. I think as a freshman, maybe it's just nerves. It's gotten into his head a little bit, but he looks like he should be a much better foul shooter than he is.
Only 2 minutes gone by. It took about 3.5 minutes to decide on the flagrant 1. Here's McGarry turning on a really nice fake. Rebounded with it.
Those shots he made last weekend, Mark, because he was going against much smaller players. He's going to have a difficult time scoring over the top of Whitby.
Belford, Johnson, Gary coming on Whitby. This is Young. Jeff Whitby with an impressive post move.
And a better start for Kansas offensively. Just the patience offensively. Last weekend they looked so frazzled. They were throwing the ball all over the gym. And they looked tight right from the outset. And tonight, just a little better feel for offense for Kansas.
Oh, pretty pass, Burke for McGarry. Kansas has hit 3 of its first 4, and they have the 2-point lead. Kansas has won 12 of its last 13. They're 31-5. Saved by Robinson, but lands in the hands of Johnson. Elijah Johnson with the runner. And a foul.
It's like they got Johnson on the charge, Mark, which is number 2. And that's why that silly foul on Johnson is going to come back to haunt him. He's going to have to leave the game. Now, 2 fouls in the first 3.5 minutes of this game. And Nadir Tharp, who was a hero against North Carolina, coming into the second half and knocking down 3 3-pointers in that comeback against the Heels. He'll be called upon here to play some important minutes.
Yeah, particularly with Ben McLemore having his shooting problems. Tharp provided a big lift. Robinson wide open for 3. Yes. Robinson III, the son of former Purdue All-American and NBA star Glenn Big Dog Robinson.
Do we call him Little Dog? I don't know. Whatever we call him, he's pretty good. He was on fire against VCU in round 3, and he picked up right where he left off.
McLemore over Hardaway. So he misses on his first attempt. Here's Hardaway. And the open floor. Nice move. Could not finish. Rebounded by Young. Rutherford down the lane. Travis Rutherford has had 2 strong games in the tournament against North Carolina Sunday, 9 of 13, 22 points, 8 rebounds. Did it back in his hometown of Kansas City.
He was terrific. While Withy was carrying the Jayhawks defensively, Rutherford was the guy on offense.
Pretty pass. Nick Stauskas, known as a three-point shooter, but has not been hitting the 3 over the first 2 games. That time able to lay it home.
Yeah, good for Stauskas to get an early basket. That'll make that next three-point shot a little easier, but really good execution from a Michigan team that is known for its half-court efficiency.
Withy, now he went down. He was trying to draw a foul. Another nice move by Withy.
I thought Withy may have gotten away with a walk after the contact. It could have been a foul in the first place, but then a walk, but nothing at all from the officials.
Stauskas for 3. Far pushing. Rutherford on the crossover, and he was pushed.
Talked about Michigan's offense. They turn it over only 9 times a game. Number 1 in the country to 14 assists.
All right, thank you, Greg. As we take a look at our tournament summary, Wichita State, the Shockers' first Elite 8 since back in '81. How about Syracuse with the very effective zone back-to-back Elite 8 appearances, and Marquette also moves on. Marv Alberts, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager. In Dallas for the South Regional.
First substitution of the game. John Horford comes in for McGarry because Beeline concerned about foul trouble from McGarry. Meanwhile, Rutherford continues with the hot hand.
Third field goal. They're 6 of 8 from the field. So Kansas off to the good start. Up by 3.
Everything they didn't do last weekend, they're doing right now. Just the patience, the ball movement, that patented Bill Self side-to-side action, really getting the defense moving.
Nice fadeaway shot. Nick Stauskas averages 11 points, shoots 46% from the field.
Talented shooter, not just a spot-up three-point shooter either. The ability to put the ball on the floor, hit pull-up jump shots like that one there.
Tries to get position, and he does.
Well, the weakness of this Michigan team is interior defense. We talked about it earlier. They play 4 guards and 1 big. Big teams have taken advantage of this Michigan defense in the paint, and Kansas has done that. In fact, I think all 14 of their points to this point are in the lane.
Hurt play by Tharp. Staying in front. And then a strip. Tharp made the play, but the lead out too far. The last time Kansas played Michigan, it was back in January 2011 in Ann Arbor. Kansas won it in overtime. Tim Hardaway Jr. with 19 points as a freshman for Michigan. Bill Self 8-0 all time against the Wolverines.
Self, such a great coach. They're going to say that ball was tipped, deflected. It looked like it was off the one-hand pass from McLemore, but this is where the game gets interesting. Perry Ellis enters the game for Kansas, and he's got a huge edge inside as he shows right there with the offensive putback.
Perry Ellis, the 6'8" freshman out of Wichita, with the successful box out.
Now Beeline has a choice. He can either stay small, which is his best offensive lineup, or play a more traditional 2-big lineup. The problem there, he really doesn't have a lot of offense when he plays 2 traditional postmen.
Robinson off with that shot. Tharp has really settled things down. Coming on for Elijah Johnson. That's a travel. Ellis called for steps.
This is the key matchup. We're talking about this inside-outside game. Ellis is going to go right at Robinson. And in the Big Ten tournament, Wisconsin just took Michigan apart with Ryan Evans going right down to the block against Robinson. And he just couldn't handle the stronger Evans. So we'll see how he does against Perry Ellis.
How about a rookie jumping out to block the jump shot? We saw that last week against North Carolina. McLemore for three. So he has missed his first 3 shots.
For the crowd, the Kansas portion anyway, really wanted that one. You feel like he just needs to break the ice.
Hardaway got it over the left hand. 5-point Jayhawk lead. 8 minutes gone by. McLemore. Ellis spinning inside.
Just too easy. That's going to be a matchup John Beilein is going to have to think about all game. And again, if he takes Robinson out, now you negate that shooting and floor spacing edge that the Wolverines have.
10-2 run by Kansas. Burke from 3. Rutherford is on. Accelerates down the lane and scores. Timeout, Michigan.
We've been waiting for the Jayhawks to look like a 1 seed. I'd say they do at this point. Great start for Kansas. The interior passing, the strength inside. Perry Ellis getting right to the rim. Kansas up 9.
Welcome back to Cowboy Stadium. The Jayhawks lead by 9. Bill Self says that Ben McLemore is the most talented young player he has ever coached. And although McLemore was on the SI regional cover of March Madness, he has struggled this tournament. 0 for 3 tonight, 2 for 17 in the tournament. Hardships at home. A single mom without a job, a brother in jail, and 10 family members living in a one-room house led McLemore to vow to one day take care of his family, give them all the meals, housing, and heat they wanted. Bill Self's message this week, all week long to McLemore, and tonight, stop pondering the NBA draft. Enjoy this moment, relax, and play to your capabilities.
And those shooting woes began in the Big 12 tournament. We just saw Hardaway knock down a 3. And Ben McLemore projected as a lottery pick. Steve, has he been affected by these moments, the big stage?
I don't know. I think a little bit of the big stage. He's just a freshman. He hasn't been through this. But all the things Craig mentioned, so many things going on in his life as Traylor gets right to the basket and scores. But you can only imagine, the pressure on McLemore. The thing he's got to realize is he's going to be a high pick regardless of his performance in this tournament. He's too talented, too gifted. He's going to have a long NBA career. Just got to find a way to relax, play, and try to enjoy this.
Kansas now 11 of 15 from the field. Jordan Morgan, 6'8" junior, who had been the starting center for a good portion of the season, has checked in, and he is alongside McGarry. Shot clock running down. Draws the foul. First stopped at the rim, and now Morgan will head to the line.
You mentioned Morgan and McGarry in the game at the same time. John Beilein trying to do anything to slow down this Kansas inside game.
Thank you, Greg. Now look at our game summary. Michigan only 6 for 17 from the field. Kansas 11 of 15, led by Travis Rutherford, who is 4 for 4.
And how about 17 for 23 throughout the tournament? Well, Rutherford's been just amazing. He's the rock solid senior on this group. Actually, 4 seniors in this Kansas lineup. John Beilein was talking yesterday. He said in many ways it's our freshmen against their seniors. So rare for a group of seniors to stay together in college these days. But that's exactly what Kansas's unit has done. That's one of the reasons they're so solid and they stay in games even when they're struggling offensively.
Halfway through this first half, Robinson, played by Ellis.
Ellis is going to take advantage of Robinson at one end. Then Robinson's got to do the same to Ellis down at this end. So Michigan has to run him off some screens, try to find an open perimeter look to take advantage of his speed.
This is Karis LeVert, who just checked in and had it deflected away. He is a 6'5" freshman, plays about 11 minutes against John Beeline. Doing some shuffling here in this first half.
Yeah, he's already gone away from the Morgan-McGarry tandem, and I think that's basically because he just doesn't feel like he can score enough to beat Kansas with those two on the floor together. He's going back to his four-guard lineup, but that means they've got to find a way to stop Kansas in the paint at the other end.
And a foul. Elijah Johnson had just back in, and he picked up the foul. Takes a quick seat. Follow the games anywhere you go with NCAA March Madness live. If you download the app to your iPhone, iPad, or select Android devices by visiting ncaa.com/March Madness. McGarry from the perimeter.
He's going to have to make a few of those. Michigan is going to try to attack with penetration and pick and roll situation, pick and pop. So McGarry will have to make some shots, and now the Wolverines go back to that 1-3-1 zone defense. This is what John Beeline used to run as a staple in West Virginia. Not as often here in Michigan.
McLemore from the other side. And here's the roar from the Jayhawk portion of the crowd.
And a big clap from Bill Self. And that has to be just a weight off of McLemore's shoulder.
He had missed his last 12 shots. That's his first field goal here tonight. Robinson, full three. Murphy with the box out. McLemore is tied up. And the arrow, let's see, pointed to Michigan.
Here was the shot from McLemore. You see him working the baseline, finds a crease and knocks down that three. And that's just enormous. This is an all Big 12 player, leading scorer for the Jayhawks. But as we talked about, kind of a deer in the headlights look last weekend.
Well, they give it right back. How about the start for Elijah Johnson? Mixing that improbable early tussle with Mitch McGarry. Flagrant foul. Picks up two quick fouls. That was a personal. Checks in a moment ago and is called for a personal foul.
He's played 2 minutes and he has 3 fouls. It's almost karma. You know, the way that first foul went, the flagrant one, it's almost like, all right, the basketball guys are saying, that's the wrong way to go, so here's a couple more. Go sit on the bench.
Ellis backs in. Off the double. He's called for the travel. Delaware and Kentucky. For more information, go to ncaa.com. Kansas with a 25-17 lead over Michigan. John Beeline still searching for the right combination.
A very perimeter-oriented team, and they're going to have to make shots to stay in this game. And it's a tough atmosphere in this dome to make perimeter shots.
Oh, Fark with a beautiful scoop high off glass.
Well, Kansas, even though they're a defensive-minded team, they will run at every opportunity, and they look sharp here tonight.
Michigan comes in 28-7, their most wins since 92-93 when the Wolverines reached the Final Four. Burke on the hop. McGarry did not hit the reverse. Robinson with an opportunity and with the rebound.
Those were easy dunks from McGarry last weekend.
Alford went 1-on-2, and here comes Michigan. Hardaway. High off glass.
Boy, you see the presence of Withy affects everything. Even made shots have to go a little bit higher, but I mentioned McGarry's big weekend in rounds 2 and 3. Every drop-off pass was an easy dunk against those smaller teams that Wolverines played against today. Those shots are just not going to be there. Withy, a constant presence in the paint.
Withy spinning on McGarry. It's been easy to this point for Jeff Withy.
Yeah, 26 points in the paint now for Kansas, and Michigan content to play behind Withy in the post. He's done a nice job turning and scoring over the top.
6 points, 4 rebounds, and a blocked shot with a 7-foot center, Jeff Withy. the slam.
And that's the dilemma for Withey, and that's the challenge for him. He has to play Burke on that pick and roll because Burke's such a good shooter, but he's got to retreat back to McGarry as quick as possible.
And McGarry has hit 4 of 6 for 8 points. The steal by McGarry. Good look from Hardaway. Nick Stauskas. A run here by Michigan. They're within 6.
And it comes off the turnover from McLemore, who threw a bounce pass into Withey. Throw it up high to your big man. McGarry has the advantage when the ball's on the floor.
Rutherford. McGarry on the box out. Whips it for Burke. Try to find Stauskas on the wing.
Michigan with 5 turnovers already. We talked about it, they averaged 9 on the season. But this was beautiful execution here. That's where Burke is so good, just his ability to navigate the lane and figure out when to shoot and when to pass.
And Steve, how rare is it to find a true battle on the post these days in basketball?
That's so true. Everything is played on the perimeter these days. McGarry will go to the bench, which means Morgan comes in to battle Withey.
Jordan Morgan was playing through a sprained ankle, did not play well for a spell, lost his starting job. And the call is away from the ball. It is on Kansas. Offensive foul, a block being charged to Young.
Yeah, illegal screen from Young on Hardaway Jr. So Michigan has just kind of weathered the storm. It feels like they should be behind by more, but they've gotten a couple of transition hoops and just managed to hang around despite the fact that the Jayhawks are shooting 14 for 21 from the field.
Spike Albrecht has come in at the point, lost it. 2-on-1. McLemore on the drive and scores. That's his second field goal.
The better Kansas is defensively, the more opportunities McLemore will have like that in transition. And that's what really gets a score off the hook. You can get a couple layups, then the game becomes much easier.
Stauskas able to pop it down low, and it's batted away by Withey. Young on the move, and a foul up top. Kevin Young looking for Travis Rutherford. Second block by Withey. Timeout is taken. McLemore with his second field goal. 2 of 6 from the floor.
Kansas with an 8-point lead. It's been a good battle down on the block between Mitch McGarry and Jeff Withey. McGarry really the beneficiary of the tremendous point guard play of Trey Burke, but also just the defense, trying to battle Withey. Withey's been able to score over the top a couple of times. But you talked about it, Marv, so much of the game these days is on the perimeter. 4 men are really, 3 men who can shoot, but we have an old school battle in the paint with these 2 guys.
The freshman Mitch McGarry and the senior Jeff Withey. Oh, the alley-oop on the inbounds. That's another way to get McLemore rolling. So he has scored on a drive. He did hit a jumper. And now on the line.
And you got to feel his confidence is slowly coming back. I mean, you can just see a bounce in his step, the alertness defensively pointing to his man. He's got to be feeling good finally.
Albrecht knocks down a 3-pointer. Spike Albrecht, who played a career-high 15 minutes against Virginia Commonwealth last weekend and played well alongside Trey Burke, 5'11" freshman out of Indianapolis.
That's an unexpected lift for Michigan. Albrecht averages about 1 point a game, so for him to come in and knock down a 3 is just huge.
McLemore, oh, he goes glass and hits from downtown.
And Bill Self looks over at his staff and just smiles, just shakes his head. That's how this game goes sometimes.
10 points for McLemore. All have come in the last 6 minutes. Stauskas. The follow by Robinson.
Trey Burke is fantastic. We saw Carolina last week attack Jeff Withey in the paint and try to score over the top of him. They never figured out that you got to move the ball on. Burke, with a great awareness of what's happening, is penetrating with the idea of passing and really moving Jeff Withey around.
2.5 remaining in this first half. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager from North Texas, the #1 seed in the South against the #4 seed. Rutherford off the spin. Young plays it and lays it home.
Those are the ones that are just going to kill Michigan. They played really good defense for most of the shot clock. They have to be able to rebound those misses. Otherwise, you're just in major trouble. 32 paint points now for the Jayhawks.
10-point lead matches the biggest of the game. Burke played by Rutherford. Alford came out to set a pick. Burke is off. Tharp setting it up.
Mismatch underneath, and Burke is going to get called for the foul. He was stuck on Withey, and probably a smart play for him. But here was the alley-oop to McLemore, beautifully designed. And then when it's going your way, sometimes you're a little lucky. Bounce it in off the glass from straight away.
First on Burke, third team foul on Michigan. Kansas with 5. Minute and a half to go. First half. Hell no! And he stepped out. Tharp tried to control it, but stepped on the baseline.
7 turnovers for Kansas. 39 on the weekend. The first 2 games of the tournament. The difference tonight, I think there's only been one live ball tournament or live ball turnover that turned into a Michigan basket.
First down on the hop. McGarry, yes, and the foul. He's had a strong first half.
He's going to be something. Just a freshman, 265 pounds, versatile, bouncy, and can make a jump shot.
Foul on Withey, his first. McGarry, 5 for 7, 10 points. It's an 8-point game, but McGarry headed to the line when we come back. The regular, no, it's an X, no, it's an XL.
And then I just stole like 4 shirts.
Security was, yeah, well, that's another story. Security was on the scene quickly. That's a 3-point play for McGarry, who also has 5 rebounds, a block, and a steal.
He said he spent a lot of time unicycling as a kid, much like yourself. Exactly. Up on the streets of Brooklyn. That may actually explain some of his nimbleness. I mean, the guy is so quick on his feet for such a big man.
Withey with the putback as Rutherford was off on that initial attempt. So Kansas up by 9. It's been a very sharp first half for the Jayhawks. Final minute of the half. Burke with a duck under. Stauskas for 3. This after going 1 for his previous 8 from beyond the 3-point line. Hits the 3 and will head to the line for a potential 4-point play.
This feels like a miracle. If Stauskas makes this free throw, for Michigan to be down just 5, particularly if they can make a stop going into halftime. When you look at the numbers, Kansas 19 for 28. The paint point totals 34 to 14. Yeah, I'm sure that's why you see the concern on Phil Self's face. I mean, the Jayhawks almost could not have played much better in this first half, but Michigan's right there.
And that foul was committed by McLemore, his first. That clock turned off. Coming up on 10 seconds to the half. Tharp lost it. Final seconds. And that is the end of the first half. So it's a 6-point game. Although Kansas, as you mentioned, has shot exceptionally well. Coming up on AT&T at the half, Bernie, Steve, Seth, and Villanova head coach Jay Wright will take you out for a live look at Oregon Louisville, plus the latest NCAA tournament news. It's all coming up on AT&T at the half. But first, here's Craig and Kansas head coach Bill Self.
Well, Coach, for the first time in the tournament, you're leading in intermission. How happy are you to see Ben McLemore finally get going?
Yeah, it's good to see him get going, but our scout report defense was awful. We got to do a better job with that. You know, we were fortunate they missed some shots. We got to do a much better job of keeping Trey out of the lane and then not helping off on those corner threes.
What are your thoughts on Elijah Johnson? 3 fouls, including a break of 1 in just 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. He made 3 bonehead plays, and hopefully he'll get his head right and come out and play a great second half.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Welcome back to Cowboy Stadium, North Texas. 6-point lead at the half for Kansas over Michigan. Moments ago, Craig Sager with Michigan head coach John Beilein.
Well, Coach, what can you do to keep Kansas from scoring in the paint where they seem to be scoring at will?
Yeah, they're really pounded in at ease right now. We got to get better pressure on the perimeter. But the other thing they're doing, the fast break has killed us. Our transition, we've had the bad turnovers for touchdowns, we call them. And then the transition D has been bad. You know, we've gotten deep in there, a block shot or just same thing, we can't get back.
All right, thanks a lot. Thank you, Mark.
All right, Craig, and the good news for Bill Self in Kansas, the return of Ben McLemore coming off the 0 for 9 against North Carolina on Sunday. Missed his first 3 shots here tonight over the last 9 minutes. Steve, 4 of 5, 10 points.
Yeah, I thought the half couldn't have gone much better for Kansas because they established the inside game right away, and then they got their leading scorer, McLemore, going. He knocked down that 3 against the zone. Beautiful lob play, out of bounds underneath, banks in another 3. So McLemore now with 10 points, their leading scorer as you look at the Coke Zero first half stats. And again, Michigan staying in this game. Look at that bizarre number. No free throws for a Kansas team that is dominating the paint, but we heard Jay Wright talking in the studio. Michigan doesn't foul. They're number 2 in the country in fewest fouls. The question is, can they guard in the paint? I mean, they may have to start using some fouls to keep Kansas from getting easy baskets.
They average only 13 fouls committed per game. And this is the most points Michigan has given up all season in the first half.
Yeah, and they committed only 3 fouls in that first half. So this is an interesting second half we have ahead of us. Kansas totally dominant and yet only up 6.
And the winner will go up against the winner between Florida and the darlings of the tournament, Florida Gulf Coast. That game coming up next on CBS. Elijah Johnson with the 3 fouls starting out on the Kansas bench. Nadir Tharp remains on the floor at the point. Tharp with it. McLemore. Well, he's feeling it. This time it's off. Rutherford could not handle it, and it lands in the hands of Burke. Gary setting the pick and roll. Beautifully done. And Robinson with the bucket and the foul.
Boy, that was gorgeous. We talked about this in the first half. Michigan's intent when they get into the paint has to be to pass. If McGarry tries to score that width, he blocks it. But by moving the ball onto a teammate, Michigan is able to find an opening. I love their attack offensively. Trey Burke has been fantastic.
Robinson only a 67% free throw shooter, and the Wolverines struggling at the line. The Kansas lead is down to 4. They've led by as many as 10. Withy able to roll it off the side of the rim.
Yeah, nice play. That's about the 3rd time Withy has scored over the top of the defense. And Marv, you look at Michigan now. The next step is for Burke to get the jump shot going. He's been in the paint all game, 5 assists already. See him make some beautiful plays. If you can get that outside game going, it changes everything.
Let's see right here. There it is. A 3. His first field goal. Trey Burke. A sophomore out of Columbus. Able to knock it down from downtown. It's a 3-point game.
That may bring Withy out even further on the perimeter.
Gary rebounds and a foul. A hat on Kevin Young.
Well, we mentioned Burke's penetration, his passing in the paint, but this is a big part of his game. The ability to knock down perimeter jump shots. That's his first basket of the night. And we'll see how that affects the way Kansas defends this Michigan offense.
Third foul on Young, and Perry Ellis over the scorer's table. He is getting ready to come on. Hardaway. Robinson trying to get it to McGarry, but broken up. Tharp pushing. Here's Young. It counts. And the foul. Looked like he actually lost the grip.
Yeah. What did John Beeline just tell Craig Sager? Turnovers for touchdowns. I've never heard that expression before, but it is fitting. You turn it over against Kansas, and it's a basket. I mean, these guys are really good getting out and running the lane, and this is just a lucky break here. Young tapping it off the glass by accident after he was hacked.
Foul committed by Hardaway. Kevin Young, just a 60% free throw shooter. Had that excellent game against North Carolina last Sunday. 10 points, 9 rebounds. Jayhawks by 5. Just underway, second half. Crossover by McGarry and blocked from behind. Chase down version of Jeff Withey.
Well, you're not getting that past Withey.
Block. Foul committed by Tim Hardaway Jr.
You just can't beat Withey at the point of attack. Even when you're past him and you feel like you've got an angle, he just jumps so high and he's so long that he goes over the top to get that block.
Third foul on Hardaway. Tim, the son of one-time NBA star Tim Hardaway, who these days scouting for the Miami Heat. And he has been following his son around the country watching him play basketball.
How about this backcourt? Burke and Hardaway, more than likely both will one day play in the NBA, but as will McGarry, possibly Glenn Robinson. I mean, this is a talented team, just not a real strong team on the inside. That's what Kansas has been able to expose.
Ellis had to throw it out. Ellis replacing Young, who has 3 fouls. Oh, nice move. Foul could not finish. McGarry with another rebound. Burke and Albrecht now in the back. Here's Burke, hit a 3 a moment ago. McLemore rebounds, and Tharp brings it back. 3 minutes gone by. Second half. McLemore played by Robinson. Ellis, yes. And the foul.
Just bad recognition from the Wolverine defense. Albrecht was stuck on Ellis on the cross match that entire possession, but nobody from Michigan was aware. So when this happens, as soon as the ball goes in, I don't care who you are or where you are, you just go double team and you count on a teammate to cover up for you. And Michigan leaves Albrecht on an island all by himself.
The freshman Perry Ellis, who was outstanding in the Big 12 tournament, averaged 14 points in the 3 victories, including a career-high 23. Robinson. McGarry goes right at Withey. One-handed by Ellis.
No block from Withey, but it might as well have been. The presence just made McGarry change that shot.
Now at the other end, here's Withey coming up short. McGarry with the rebound. That's his 8th. Here's Burke on the run. Burke all the way and scores.
It's a great move. Burke knew that Withey was trailing the play, so he finally got his opportunity to attack and get all the way to the rim.
Second field goal for Trey Burke. Lead is 5 for Kansas. Ellis. McGarry again with the board.
Michigan very fortunate. Ellis just so much stronger than Robinson down on the block. Looks like he had a pretty easy shot.
Oh, what a move. It counts in the foul. Trey Burke, the Big Ten Player of the Year, able to penetrate, and he'll go to the line as we hit the break. All right, Greg, and we're back at the house that Jerry built. Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. You see that enormous video board, the largest of its kind in the world in HD, above the court.
A lot of people in the building just watch the game on the screen. I mean, it's mesmerizing. Of course, this will be the site of the Final Four next season. Just an incredible venue.
Michigan within 2 after trailing by as many as 10. Elijah Johnson is back on the floor. Rutherford is able to hit on the drive. What a strange game for Elijah Johnson. The 3 quick fouls, including the flagrant against McGarry, has not spent much time on the floor.
We talked about him in the first half, really kind of the wild card for this team. Even as a senior point guard, the inconsistent play. Johnson can be spectacular. He had 39 against Iowa State this year, but he can also play like tonight where he makes some curious decisions.
And Bill Self at halftime in his chat with Craig Sager said it was knucklehead play. Kind of catchy it. This is Johnson swinging it. McLemore. He had come into tonight slumping. He missed 13 consecutive shots before he hit. Then hit 4 of 5. McLemore fires for 3.
That was vintage Kansas basketball right there, Marv. Bill Self constantly tells his team, get the ball going side to side, make the defense move. There must have been 8 or 9 passes before McLemore broke open for that jumper.
Ben McLemore is back. He's hit 5 of his last 7. The drive by Nick Stoskis draws the foul.
Well, here's the end of the play, but you see the ball swinging side to side, and the whole idea is you make the defense rotate. The more rotations a defense has to make, the more opportunity for them to make a mistake. And if you handle the ball well, cleanly, you get good cutters going to the rim, and you continue to move the ball, eventually you'll have an open look.
Nick Stoskis, an excellent free throw shooter, 88%. Follow tournament scores and news live on the CBS Sports app. Get it free by texting SCORE to 42777 or by visiting cbssports.com/mobile from your phone or tablet. 51-46. Kansas over Michigan. Libby facing up. Rebounded by Burke. Burke penetrates, lost it. Ellis took it away. Here comes McLemore. Oh! Ben McLemore showing us the entire repertoire.
That's why he's going to be a top 3 pick, Marv. It's the jump shot, the athleticism, the size. I mean, he just looks the part of a future all-star in the NBA.
Bill Self told him just go out and play. Easy to say, not that easy to do when you're struggling. Ellis with the rebound. Johnson on the run. Johnson, yes, and the foul. So we're seeing a push here by the Jayhawks after that spurt by Michigan.
And we're seeing why Kansas is a 1 seed. We talked the whole game about their defense, about their points in the paint, but they are explosive. And when they get out in transition, whether it's Johnson, Relaford, McLemore, Tharp, I mean, they can really push the ball and get to the rim.
Jeff Withey sitting down. The 6'8" freshman from Chicago, Jamari Traylor, played briefly in the first half, checks back in. Three-point play for Elijah Johnson.
I love the way he's played here the last few possessions. He's finally into this game, just taking what's there in the half court, but pushing the ball in transition as well.
On the floor, he's playing with the 3 fouls. Nice pass inside. McGarry sweeping to the rim.
Amazing how much easier it is to score when Jeff Withey goes to the bench. And no resistance at the rim.
13 and 9 for McGarry. McLemore this time off. Ellis with the save. Lands in the hands of McLemore. What a play by Perry Ellis.
Incredible. The hustle going over to that corner. And Marv, it's a little scary here on this elevated court. You start running over to the sidelines, you're facing a 4-foot drop. And Ellis just made an incredible play. This was before McLemore showing the glide, the explosiveness, and the Kansas bench loves it, and so does former Jayhawk coach Larry Brown.
Let's take a look at the Infinity Coaches Spotlight. What an extraordinary resume for Kansas head coach Bill Self, who originally Larry Brown, who we saw a moment ago, hired Bill at Kansas as a graduate assistant right out of college. My favorite Bill Self moment earlier this season, they lose 3 in a row. Very unhappy 8-day stretch for the Jayhawks. Losses to Oklahoma State, at TCU, at Oklahoma. And Bill called his team performance at TCU the worst since James Naismith coached against the Topeka YMCA. Hardaway able to knock it down, so he has 7 points. Elijah Johnson was struggling at the time. Self said we had no personality, no bounce, and we simply lost confidence.
He even said we have no point guard.
Yeah.
But it was the press conference was rather amusing, just the way he sort of referenced Naismith. And that was kind of a turning point for the Jayhawks. They really turned it up a notch after that spell and got on that hot streak that led to a share of the Big 12 regular season title and then the conference tourney title as well.
And since then, they have won 12 of their last 13 games.
The most remarkable streak is on that graphic that we saw. 9 straight regular season Big 12 titles. That has not been done since John Wooden in the old Pac-8 in terms of major conferences. Just stunning consistency.
Here's Tharp shooting a 3. Knocked away from Burke. Played by Ellis. McLemore feeling it again. Ben McLemore unconscious. He has scored 20 points in the last 18 minutes.
8 for 14 overall. A couple of easy ones early were really critical. And remember, Michigan went to that 1-3-1 zone in the first half for 1 or 2 possessions, and McLemore was able to get free for a 3-pointer. That was an important hoop for him.
Burke getting a down low to McGarry. Michigan at 28-7. They won their first 16 games, equaling the longest win streak to start a season in school history. Did it back in 85-86. The first loss mid-January against Ohio State, ranked number 1 briefly by AP for about a week in late January. Ellis spinning. Well, that's his move.
It's a mismatch. Robinson's not strong enough for Ellis down there, and Kansas recognizes that. But again, the dilemma for Don Milan, you have to score enough in this game to stay with Kansas. And if you go to 2 bigs for defensive purposes, it's just not your best offensive lineup.
Holding foul on McLemore. Just under 10 minutes remaining. Second half. The hot shooting of Kansas providing an 11-point lead over Michigan. All right, and we take a look at our game summary. Kansas shooting 62%, 29 for 47, including 4 of 9 from beyond that 3-point line.
Look at the points in the lane, 50-24. So if you're Michigan now, you've got to make an adjustment. If you're not going to go big, you have to double team the post, particularly when Ellis gets the ball down there.
Burke on the bounce. McGarry going right at Withy, who just returned. 17 points for the freshman center, Mitch McGarry.
Again, I like Michigan's plan of attack offensively, putting Withy in as many pick and rolls as possible to get him on the move and to get McGarry on the move going to the rim.
Backcourt now, Elijah Johnson and near Tharp. Withy not able to hit. Stauskas comes away with it. Here's Burke. Hardaway playing with the 3 fouls. Gets it back to Burke for 3. Deflected out of bounds, and last touch by McGarry. Coming up in the second of our doubleheader here on CBS, 3rd seed Florida. Billy Donovan's Gator team going up against Florida Gulf Coast. Kenny Boynton of Florida saying, we're tired of hearing about them. We're ready to play. The Eagles say, no, Dunk City is going westward.
Is that what they said?
That's what they said.
It is going to be fun. I'll tell you what. That Gulf Coast team is, I mean, most 15 seeds, you think about it, like, wow, they're probably going to slow the ball down and run clock. I mean, they want the first good shot available. They run and dunk and shoot threes. And, man, exciting basketball.
Rutherford with the step. Too easy.
Too easy is right. It's been that way all night. Michigan's defense just non-existent in the paint.
Another solid game for Rutherford, 6 of 10 from the field. Foul is called.
We talked about the way the college game and even the NBA game is going more, playing smaller. Michigan plays small, and what it does for them is it makes them really efficient offensively. They don't turn it over. They get good shots. They get floor spacing. But you can only survive against great competition playing small if you can still protect the rim. You've got to have really dynamic, versatile forwards who can guard the paint. And that's the one thing that's missing from this Michigan team, and that's what Kansas has been able to exploit.
Oh, the block by Withey, stopping Holloway. McGarry calls for the travel. That last Kansas foul on McLemore was his third, so he took a seat. Tharp is back, and it's a combination of Johnson and Tharp in the backcourt. It's Withey, Rutherford, and Ellis on the front line. Fourth block of the night for Jeff Withey.
You see the number there, Michigan on its season average of 9 turnovers. Kansas actually winning the battle. They only have 8.
Withey rims out. Burke is on it. Michigan down by 11. Burke into the lane. Robinson for 3.
That's the one you have to make. If you're going to play small, you got the floor spread. You have to make your perimeter shots. Once again, this dome setting, it's difficult to find the range. You see Johnson, just the backdrop is totally different.
Scrambled on the floor, and it's a tie-up. The arrow favors Kansas. Timeout. Kansas by 11. All right, thank you, Greg. And there's a young man who's had himself quite a week. The 6'4" senior from Florida Gulf Coast, the leading scorer, Sherwood Brown. The NCAA tournament on TBS continues. About a half hour after the conclusion of Kansas and Michigan, we'll have the number 15 seed Florida Gulf Coast Eagles going up against the Gators of Florida. Battle of the Sunshine State. And that is next here on TBS.
Another nice possession for Michigan that ends up scoreless. Burke with a really good look, moving that Kansas defense around, bringing Withey out to the perimeter, but again, just couldn't knock down the open shot.
Tough angle 3 attempted by Tharp, but kept alive. Here's Tharp, pumping it back out. There's number 7 minutes remaining, second half. Elijah Johnson for 3. Well, he's had a bounce back after a most unusual start.
Kind of in this game has been kind of a microcosm of Elijah Johnson. First half, who knows what he was doing. Second half, really spectacular. But that's his game, up and down.
This is the biggest lead of the game. Burke hits the medium range jumper. Trey Burke, who averages just under 19 a game, a sophomore from Columbus. Big Ten Player of the Year. Did not shoot well in the first half. Missed all 4 of his shots, but he's come on here in the second half.
Reminds me a little bit of DJ Augustine, former Texas Longhorn. There's McGarry with the rebound.
Burke for Hardaway. So the lead down to 10.
They won't go away. This is an excellent team. There's a reason they're here in the Sweet 16. And they continue to fight, but it's going to take 3 or 4 stops in a row to really get back into this game. Bill Self concerned he's going to get a timeout here.
And they like to see that X factor right here.
I'm guessing it's Glenn Robinson. I haven't gone to the site to check it out yet, but Glenn Robinson is frequently the X factor for Michigan. When he scores in double figures, they're 19-1 this season, and this past weekend, maybe their best 2 games of the year. He was spectacular.
In effect, you just answered the question.
Well, I'm kind of speculating as to the answer.
Kansas in possession, up by 10. Johnson puts a move on Hardaway, sets it up for Rutherford, gives to Withey. And a foul. Jordan Morgan, who played briefly in the first half, back on the floor. Not a good free throw shooter, but took that hit from Relaford. It's a 1-and-1 coming up for Morgan, a 54% foul shooter. Morgan 1 of 2 tonight. Well, the smack talkers are back. Men at Work, a brand new season, premieres Thursday at 10/9 Central, only on TBS. Very funny.
Nice job at the other end by Morgan defensively. And he does get 1 out of 2. But it's going to take, as we mentioned, several stops in a row for a team that hasn't shown the ability to do that. And Gary will come back in now for Morgan.
Ball deflected out. We're approaching 5 minutes remaining in the second half.
Interesting. Bill Self going with Nadir Tharp over Ben McLemore here in the last few minutes. I think he just trusts Tharp's decision-making a little bit more with this lead.
They swing it. Tharp played so well against North Carolina last week when he's benched. McLemore, shot clock down to 3. Tharp rims out, and the tip is good. Young with 8 points. Able to keep it alive, extend it back to 11.
That's Young's game. He's basically a small power forward, but he plays bigger than he is. A lot of points around the paint, tip-ins, and nice plays on the interior.
Stauskas went down and a foul on Kansas. Withy running over, picks up his 3rd.
It's the wrong guy to foul, although Stauskas did miss one in the first half from the line, but an 87% free throw shooter on the season.
Nick Stauskas reportedly in a shooting drill last year hit 78 3-pointers in a 5-game span. 78 of 85. To me, it sounds like Steve Kerr territory.
I would have made 79, Marv. Come on.
Of course.
Actually, if I tried that now, I'd get tired after 20 seconds and I would stop. This guy's got a beautiful stroke, though. And wow, second miss for Stauskas on the night. And that's a big one, front end of a 1-on-1.
Well, the Cardinals of Louisville move on with the 8-point victory.
Morgan obviously played them awfully tough.
Here's Burke. And on a hit from 3. Robinson inside. Back tap by McGarry. Hardaway. And he took a shoulder from Tharp. That leads to a timeout. Free throws when we come back. Kansas by 11. All right, Steve, let's take a look at the Capital One Cup impact performance.
Well, welcome back, Ben McLemore. Nice to see his game return to form, especially if you're a Kansas fan. He's knocked down 4 out of 8 3-pointers. He's gotten out in transition for a couple of easy buckets. And he's been a major spark here. 20 points for the Jayhawks. And he'll come back into the game now with those 4 fouls. And again, he would have been in this game several minutes ago, I think, if Kansas didn't have this relatively comfortable lead. But Bill Self felt very comfortable with Nadir Tharp on the floor for him, allowing McLemore to come back in now for the final few minutes.
Tim Hardaway Jr., 78% free throw shooter. Kansas over the limit, committing their 9th team foul.
They haven't been able to put any pressure on Kansas up the floor. Remember all the problems the Jayhawks had just taking care of the ball against Western Kentucky and North Carolina, but Michigan not really that kind of team defensively.
Michigan only 7 of 15 at the line, and now McGarry called for the foul.
So the Wolverines will pick up full court. Let's see if Kansas can just break this pressure and get into the front court. Johnson coming back to handle the ball.
Played by Robinson. Change of pace Pulled by Elijah Johnson. 3.5 remaining. Pass intended for Whiffy, picked off by McGarry. Stauskas to the rim, turned back, recovered by McGarry, and he backs it home.
How about that with the right hand? The lefty McGarry has shown it all here tonight. 9 for 14 from the field, 19 points and 12 boards. What a move here. Off the loose ball, just turning, shooting with his offhand over with it.
8-2 run by the Wolverines. Down to 3 minutes, 14 seconds to go in this second half, and that Kansas lead is down to 8.
Well, they were able to force a turnover on that last possession, not with the full court pressure, but in the half court. A bad decision by Elijah Johnson. So any turnover is going to lead to an opportunity for Michigan. That's what they have to focus on here. Making several stops in the ball, getting out, running, maybe getting to the foul line. That's what's gotten them back to within 8.
Jayhawks have led by as many as 14. Trying to cut Johnson off. Gets it inside. Nice pass to Whiffy.
There's Young again. It started with the Johnson penetration, but Young just such a good interior passer. That was beautifully done.
Hardaway. Robinson kept it alive. Hardaway for 3. Deflected away from Whiffy, picked up by Robinson, and he stops.
Not sure where Elijah Johnson was going. Well, no reason for Kansas to probe in the lane at this stage of the game. 10-point lead, just pull it out, move the ball side to side. Turnover cost them there.
Pressure by Burke on Johnson, and a foul. No, it's a backcourt violation. Did not get it across.
Yeah, and if you're Bill Self, you might want to think about bringing Tharp back in to help Johnson against this pressure. And McLemore not really a ball handler. Tharp was the key guy last weekend when Self's team had that trouble with the full court pressure.
Huge possession right here for Michigan. Burke, for McGarry. The Wolverines battling back. They're within 6 with 1:45 remaining second half. A 12-4 run for Michigan.
Whiffy comes up to set the screen on Burke. That freed up Johnson, but Bill Self not at all comfortable. He saw his team struggle in this situation last weekend. You can read his lips. He said, unbelievable. His team clinging now to a 6-point lead. That's taken a while, but Michigan has gotten back into the game with some defensive pressure. Watch this. Johnson pretty nonchalant here, bringing the ball up the court, but at this stage, Burke puts pressure on him, forces him to turn his body twice, and that's enough. You see right there, the violation.
A minute 36 to play. Kansas is led by as many as 14. Kansas with 4 turnovers. A 12-4 run by Michigan as Johnson moves it across against Burke. McLemore is back on the floor. Relevant close to a travel. To the rim. Trying to stuff it. He is fouled. Foul on McGarry, his second.
Nicely done. This is a senior-dominated team. Crowd doesn't like it. You see McGarry look like all ball there. But Relaford saw the lane, goes right to the hole, gets rewarded with a couple of free throws. Probably lucky to get that foul called on McGarry. Looked like all ball.
Relaford a 78% free throw shooter on the line for the first time.
It's hard to quantify what Relaford and Young bring to this team. The starting forwards, but in a lot of ways, they're the settling influences. We've seen Johnson's struggles, but Relaford and Young, with all their experience and their ball handling ability in the half-court offense, make good decisions for this club.
Clutch foul shots, outstanding game again for Travis Relaford. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Michigan looking to hurry. Burke fires for 3. Yes! Trey Burke. The lead is 5.
That is enormous. This game was probably over if he doesn't hit this and Kansas rebounds. Now all of a sudden a 5-point lead. Michigan back in it. If you're Michigan now, you don't need to foul. You're down 5. You can play this possession out and get a quick basket in transition if you can force a stop and then start playing the foul game. We'll see how John Beilein plays it.
Robinson will put pressure on the inbounds. Rutherford looks to put it in play. Gets it into McLemore. They try to trap him. Thought gets it across.
Beilein says no foul. We're going to play it out here.
15 on the shot clock. 50 seconds to the second half. McLemore. Back comes Michigan. Hardaway for 3. And again comes up short. Robinson to the reverse. The lead is down to 3.
What a play from Robinson. Pulling that ball out of the scrum off the Hardaway miss. And you know Whitney is right there. So he uses the rim as protection and spins it off the glass. And John Beilein races over to call timeout.
A look at the reset, and I don't think we thought we'd be talking about a close game here in the final minutes. Kansas led by as many as 14, but here's Michigan right back.
They've hung around, and now they're in a position, no timeouts left. So on this play, I think you trap in the backcourt. If you can get a steal, you do it. But after the first trap, now you've got a foul. And remember, Kansas will be shooting a 1-and-1 on the foul. So a lot of pressure on the Jayhawks at the line.
28 seconds remaining second half. Tharp moving on Burke. And there's the foul. Levert will send Johnson.
And I like
to the free
that.
throw
I
line.
like that. They could have fouled Tharp, but he's 88%, and he made some clutch shots in the opening weekend of the tournament in Kansas City. Johnson also a good foul shooter at 76%. But if I'm Michigan, I'd rather see Johnson than Tharp shooting this 1-and-1.
Johnson 1 of 1 at the line this evening.
And with no timeouts left for Michigan, so they've got to push the ball.
Elijah Johnson, who has come back strong after the shaky start, picking up those 3 quick fouls, including a flagrant right at the start of the game.
That was the big one. You see the anxiety on the faces of these Kansas fans. But Michigan now down 5. Got to push it and go. No timeouts.
Here's Burke. Able to beat Johnson with that quick step. 3-point game. 14 seconds remaining. They have to foul. There it is. They'll send Elijah Johnson back to the line.
Bill Self took with the off the floor there, wanting to cover out to the 3-point line. And Burke, really smart, understood that, went right to the basket.
Hey, look at 5, no 3.
So here is Elijah Johnson once again. He's 3 for 3 at the line. With those prime time free throws just a moment ago.
Again, 1-and-1, so a lot of pressure here on this first one.
And goes too strong. 3-point game. Burke moves it down. 5 seconds. Fires for 3. Oh, the game is tied. He's tied it.
Are you kidding me? Trey Burke, that's why he's the Big Ten Player of the Year, All-American, on a night when his jump shot has been sporadic at best. Launches a 30-footer under pressure, knocks it down. Unbelievable comeback by the Wolverines.
Trey Burke with 18 points. All have come in the second half. We have 4.2 remaining, and it will be Kansas ball with the game tied.
Kansas does have one additional timeout left, Mark. So if Bill Self decides to, he could push the ball ahead and call another timeout where it's easier to score on a sideline out of bounds play. But 4.2 is enough speed in this backcourt with Johnson or possibly Tharp to push the ball ahead and get a good look.
The Jayhawks, led by as many as 14. Michigan with a 22-8 spurt to get back into it and tie it up.
Burke just 3 for 11 now on the night, but that's what makes special players. You know, when the game isn't going your way, 2 for 10 from the three-point line, and everything rides on making one shot. When you can knock it down, that just shows what kind of toughness and grit you have. Got to be careful now that you're Kansas of a turnover. Michigan could make a steal and actually win this game in the final seconds.
Rutherford will throw in. They added a tenth of a second, 4.3 remaining. Robinson protects on the inbound. Here comes Tharp. Tharp for the win. And we head to overtime. An enthusiastic John Beeline off the bench to greet his players. They have come from way back.
Well, the death knell was right there for Michigan, but with some pressure defense, a couple of forced turnovers, and some clutch shot making, we're headed to an extra 5 minutes.
Back at Cowboys Stadium, we head to overtime. Dramatic come from behind effort by the Wolverines of Michigan to come from 14 down.
There's that 30-footer, and then Tharp gets a great look. And it's dead on line, just a bit short. And how about Michigan? We've talked during the telecast, the fact that they don't foul. Second in the league in the country in fewest fouls. That factored in at the end of regulation because Kansas was forced to shoot 1-and-1s rather than the double bonus of 2 shots. And that caused that extra pressure for Johnson.
Steve, we welcome you to the first overtime game of this tournament.
There we go.
Michigan ending regulation with that 22-8 run. Kansas in possession.
And now if you're the Jayhawks, you've got to settle in. You felt like you had the game won. They might be in shock right now, so an important start to this overtime. They need a good shot, a good start to this 5-minute period.
If he gets it down low, Young with the reverse.
There it is, good possession, good interior passing again for the Jayhawks.
Kevin Young, 10 points. He's hit all 5 of his shots. On the way, played by Rutherford.
Rutherford's done a terrific job slowing down Hardaway, who's been frustrated here tonight. Just 4 of 11 for 10 points.
Burke from straight away. Yes. Oh, he is on fire.
He has taken over this game.
Another 3 for Trey Burke. Michigan leads by 1. Burke has 21 points. Rutherford lost his balance. Looked like he was tripped.
Look at Trey Burke, 5 feet behind that three-point line, but feeling it, brimming with confidence in the late going after basically putting the team on his back and forcing overtime.
Foul on Burke, his 3rd. This is Michigan's first lead since the early moments. They were up 9-8.
And this will be the final 1-and-1 for Kansas. From here on out, it'll be the double bonus. can't tell you just how much pressure there is and the difference shooting a 1-and-1 from those two shots. You see the first half, second half numbers for Burke. But when you stand on that line knowing you miss that first one, Michigan has a chance for a tie with a 3-point differential. I mean, that's a huge difference. That's where that fouling for Michigan, or lack thereof, really paid off late in the game.
Rutherford is at all 4 of his free throws. Jayhawks take a 1-point edge. Minute and a half gone by in the 5-minute overtime.
Look for Michigan to bring Withy out again into a pick-and-roll situation. Try to get him away from the hoop.
Burke played by McLemore. Burke shoots over McLemore.
This is unreal. I mean, he is putting on a clinic out here.
A spectacular second half and OT for Trey Burke. Last touch by Michigan.
This is just a one-on-one situation after a switch from McLemore. And Trey Burke, so adept in handling the ball, gets McLemore on his heels and just rises up for that jumper.
And Trey Burke, a player who has been so good in clutch situations, and we've seen here tonight after the slow start. Johnson, tough angle 3. Comes to Hardaway.
And now the anxiety begins for the Kansas faithful, who clearly outnumber every other team represented here in North Texas.
Smarskis. Handled by Johnson, gets it down to Rutherford on the move. Young! Kansas on the break, up by 1.
Boy, that's a 5-point swing. Stauskas had a wide open look in the corner. The easiest 3-point shot. Couldn't get it to go.
Burke facing a double. Stauskas down low to McGarry. He scores. Michigan takes a 1-point lead.
McGarry is really something. I mean, he's been maybe quiet here in the last few minutes, but his skill set, his ability to put the ball in the basket from all over the floor, just remarkable.
11 of 16, 23 for the freshman. Just under 2 remaining in overtime. Withy backing McGarry. Does not have the move. It was deflected. Kept alive by Johnson. Elijah Johnson. Through the hands of Withy. Picked up by Hardaway. Michigan in possession, up by 1 with a minute and a half remaining in overtime.
Beeline barking out instructions to his team. He's got to get the ball back to Burke in this possession.
Burke with it. Gary sets the pick.
Young switches out on where Withy would have been in the play. Young switches out on defense.
And here's Burke. Went to the left hand. Rebound McGarry and scores! Michigan by 3. Timeout, Kansas.
Michigan's done a really good job of trying to exploit the Kansas defense, moving Withy around. And that time, it's just the follow, the offensive rebound after all those rotations from Kansas, and Bill Self's team in some trouble.
What a magnificent game we are watching here at Cowboys Stadium, North Texas, with a minute 2 remaining in overtime. The Wolverines of Michigan coming back from a 14-point deficit. They lead by 3. And how about McGarry, who missed his first 3 shots of the second half? Since then, he's hit 7 straight. He has 25 points in all. Trey Burke, big shots down the stretch in the second half.
Now if you're the Jayhawks, there's enough time. You don't have to go for a 3, but you got to get a good possession here. 1 timeout left for each team.
Not a good possession. Robinson with the steal and a foul. Glenn Robinson III with a big play.
I'm not sure anyone could have seen this coming. This Michigan team really didn't show any grit defensively for about 37 minutes. But the last few minutes of regulation and now here in overtime, they're forcing turnovers. They're hitting huge shots. And if you're Bill Self, This is one of those games, if they lose, you look back on it, you think, boy, how did this happen? Total control of the game for the entire night.
Committed a foul. Double bonus all around. So Robinson, a 67% free throw shooter, will have another free throw.
Point guard play just so critical in the tournament. Down the stretch, we've seen it in so many of these matchups. Trey Burke almost individually just willed his team back in this thing.
Down to 50 seconds in overtime. Elijah Johnson for three. It's a 2-point game. 45 seconds to play in OT.
Boy, an enormous shot for Johnson, who's had his ups and downs tonight, but brings his team back to within 2. Trey Burke with maybe the most remarkable individual performance we've seen in the NCAA tournament this year. His team looked dead in the water. And in the final couple of minutes, just his moxie, his shot making, his guts, his creativity, his will. And remarkably, the Wolverines now with a 2-point lead, 45 seconds left. They've got the ball. And if you're Bill Self in Kansas, how do you play it here?
There's big dog, Glenn Robinson, the dad of Glenn III, NBA star, Purdue All-American, College Player of the Year for the Boilermakers. Purdue, 1 timeout remaining for Michigan. Kansas does not have any. Each team in the double bonus.
10-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. I would not foul if I were Kansas. Play it out, make a stop, and then, as you said, no timeouts. So you got to push the ball ahead and try to get something in transition.
Burke works it down. And now time is taken by Michigan. Wolverines by 2. 23 seconds to play in overtime. All right, Steve, Michigan with the ball up by 2. Both teams in the double bonus. And no timeouts left.
Get the ball to Trey Burke, obviously. I think you want to try to put Jeff Withey in a pick and roll situation so you get him away from the floor. And if that happens, even if Burke can get a shot off and miss, McGarry's been just killing Kansas on the offensive glass. So that's the big thing for Kansas. You got to make a stop but get a rebound. And then no timeouts left. You got to push the ball.
Looks like Bill Self has the power play going. Had a sixth man on the court. Kevin Young is going to get called back. You know, if you can get away with a 6-on-5, I'd go with it.
And they're lucky, actually. If they hadn't recognized it, that would have been a technical. Game probably would have been over.
14 on the shot clock. 20 on the game clock. Michigan by 2, down at 5. Burke with the hesitation move and rejected by Ricky, but McGarry is there. And it's a shot clock violation. The ball did not make contact with the rim. Another opportunity for the Jayhawks.
But Bill Self was upset. He wanted the ability to run in transition, but the shot clock violation gives Michigan a chance to set up its defense.
8 seconds remaining.
Watch Withey comes from the weak side to alter that shot and then alter the next one from McGarry. And now Morgan will replace McGarry for defensive purposes for the Wolverines.
And the officiating crew over at the videotape to double check as to how much time remains.
We have to fix this in the college game. Now we're giving Kansas a timeout. We saw this last night. The review gave Arizona a timeout. Why not trust the clock operators? And here was a moment ago, Kansas with 6 guys on the floor coming out of the timeout, but we check the clock on every late game possession. It gives teams an extra timeout. It's unfair. Bill Self now can set up a play.
Steve, the only thing is in arenas where you have independent clock operators, I think it works. Does not necessarily work in gyms across the United States.
You are compromising the integrity of the final game, the final moments of the game, and the strategy that's involved. And you're basically rendering the timeout situations moot by offering these freebies to both teams.
And this is a long timeout.
Yeah. I mean, you know, what is there a difference of maybe 0.2? I mean, it's, and the irony, Marvin, in the college game, we're not allowed to look at out-of-bounds plays in the final
That
minute,
should come eventually, don't you think?
That should come, and this should go out. But we've got to fix this. You should be penalized for using the rest of your timeouts and not just giving a free one, because we've got to figure out if we should put 2/10 more on the clock. It really doesn't factor in here anyway. Kansas has 8 or 9 seconds. And here's the look. They may be looking to see if the ball hit the rim.
Yeah.
But imagine if this happens when a team is trying to get out in transition and has an advantage and gets down into the front court, and the clock stops, the whistle is blown because we want to look at the replay. Now you're taking away there's all kinds of things that can go wrong.
Steve, you got to get yourself on that competition committee. I've been talking to you about that for years.
No thanks. I'd like to offer advice.
Well, this could be about a second and a half.
Second and a half, but the main thing is Kansas gets a chance to convene, figure out what their strategy is. They can either go for the 2 or the 3. Whatever's there, whatever's available. I know you've got to stretch the floor with McLemore and Tharp, but more than likely you get Johnson on penetration. But enough time here to run some kind of action with a screen to push the ball ahead. Maybe a weak side veer pick for McLemore.
Rutherford wants more help in the backcourt, gets it in out of Johnson. Out of 5. Here's Johnson on the drive, pops it out. Tharp has to get it away. He does. It's all over. The Wolverines of Michigan come from 14 down to defeat the Jayhawks of Kansas in overtime in a thriller. Michigan heading to the Elite Eight for the first time since 1994, and they turn it from last season. You recall they lost in the round of 64 to the Bobcats of Ohio University.
Looked to me like Johnson might have been able to get to the rim. Morgan was there and may have been able to block the shot, but that would have been a better look than this. Johnson electing to kick the ball out. Kansas looked like they tried to set a veer screen for Tharp to free him up, and Beeline, what a victory for him in this program. One of the most remarkable comebacks you'll see.
John Beeline, one of 8 head coaches all time to take 5 different teams to the NCAA tournament. And Michigan will face the winner of our second game, matching Florida and Florida Gulf Coast. They advance to the Elite Eight for the 5th time since back in 1985. They go to 30-7. Kansas had won 6 straight games. Let's go to Craig.
Coach, you were down 14, but you were down 5 with 21 seconds to play. What confidence did you have in your team, particularly in your star right here, Trey Burke?
We've been through it a few times this year, and they've gotten better every time at handling being down in a game. Now, it hasn't always meant a win, but it taught us so many different lessons, and this guy was a champ all the way through it.
No doubt about it. Trey, you guys didn't pressure Kansas at all until the end. Why did you wait so long, and what difference did that make?
They're a heck of a team, man, and they're experienced. We just stuck with it. You know, we're in them situations every day in practice, and we just try to find ways to come back and win it. You know, I'm so proud of my team because, you know, a lot of people say we're young, but we stuck with it tonight. And we just, you know, I'm so happy right now. We stayed together and we got the win, but we have more work to do.
Okay, halftime, you are scoreless. second half, you come out and you're burying threes from everywhere, including that one to tie it from about 30-some feet. What was the difference?
Well, Kansas did a great job of keeping me out the paint. You know, I knew that they were going to try to do so, and, you know, my job was just to try to find an open man. You know, in the second half, you know, coach told me to be a little bit more aggressive, so I looked for my shot more.
At any point in that game, particularly towards the end of the second half, did you feel that the game had slipped away and maybe didn't have a chance?
Never. I think that's why we won. We were down 11 with 3 or 4 minutes left, and we kept saying, let's go, let's go. We're down four or five possessions, and as long as we can keep getting stops, getting out in transition, then we have a chance.
A testament for never giving up. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Back to you, Marv.
All right, Craig, magnificent all-around game for Trey Burke. 23 points, 10 assists, hit that big three to tie it up.
And I think Johnson, the senior, he will look back here and say, boy, I probably should have gone for the lay-in. Morgan was trailing him, but it would have been a better look. You see, he gets a step by him, but he could have put the ball up on the glass from that angle. Instead, the pass out to Tharp, who really has a wild look at the rim. And boy, I'm not sure I believe what I just saw.